Good evening, and if you're just tuning in, you are listening live to Tripping the Void. If you're watching, no, you're not watching Discovery Paranormal. Joe's going to change that. Speaking of Joe, I want to give a shout out to Joe Montaldo, owner of UPRN. He is also our producer. He makes our job easy, does all the hard work. We just get to sit and talk. I see he's playing with that right now. Thank you, Joe. Tripping the Void. If you've never been here before, welcome. Usually I have my lovely, beautiful co-host, my PIC or partner in crime and bestie, Saraphine Hurley. Unfortunately, just at the last minute, we had to make a quick changeover. Thank goodness I have a partner in crime that I live with and my partner, the Dell. A little bit about Tripping the Void. Like we say, we go all around the world and back again. And I am one of the co-hosts. I am Lorilei Potvin. Both of us are from Canada tonight, even though we're broadcasting to you from New Orleans, Louisiana. My name is Lorilei Potvin. I am a psychic medium, crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher, mentor, and nurse. And the Dell is my partner, as Joe likes to joke that he lives in the man cave down below. Canadian women are terrible at caring, according to Joe, most jokingly. Anyways, I want to remind you just before we get started that YouTube gave us a little slap on the wrist. So we are not on UPRN, our regular channel. We are on our alternative YouTube channel, which is UFO Paranormal Radio. The beautiful thing is we're using StreamYard now, so you can see us on many different avenues, especially if you're watching live. You can go to the UPRN page, you can go to the iCar page, Joe Montaldo's page, and news on the flip side. You can also see us on UFO Paranormal on Twitch. So I hope you'll join us. We have the chat, but come on over to the YouTube channel, UFO Paranormal Radio. I'll be keeping an eye on that, and that's where people post their comments, questions. We like to make you part of the show. So after that huge long intro, welcome, Dell. How are you? You just got off the air.
Yes, I did. Yep, I'm doing good. I was just chatting about world issues on a delicious recipe there tonight. There, dealing with China and stuff like that. You can check that out if you want to, and on the UPRN stuff there if you're interested. And other than that, nothing else much going on.
No, not actually. It's quite cold here this evening. Got quite a bit of wind, but yes, Della's right. I was going to introduce him as the host. And I thought he'll tell you about his show. And his show, I like to call it Truth Seeking versus Conspiracy Theory. He also covers a lot of the topics that one of the ones we're going to talk about tonight. And Sarah and I had chose this. I actually had a different topic. And you know what? That's the beautiful thing about Sarah and I. We work so well together. One wants something and one wants the other. We always say, yeah, let's go for it, whatever works best. So I think maybe one of these times we will talk about it. Who knows? We might talk about it tonight because I was seeing a bunch of videos on the history of Disney and all about Walt Disney and what was going on. We may touch on that. Like Sarah and I always say, we go all around the world and back again. But the name of the show tonight is, I believe it's Aliens and Everything Else. I was going to say UFOs and everything else, but it's Aliens and Everything Else because I was checking out as one of my favorite paranormal channels. I mentioned him many times, Nuke's Top 5 on YouTube. If you haven't checked him out, check him out. I like because he doesn't tell you what to think. He leaves it up to the viewer. He gets many, many different videos sent in. I think this week was a little bit slow. Dell and I watched this week, so I think it was a little slow with some of the offerings, but usually they're quite good. And I think he's a bit of a skeptic himself. He tends to play with the pictures a lot and, check with the audio. I know a couple times I've seen videos where he has actually tweaked it to show people that it's actually not what people think it is. It's actually something explainable, which I think we should always do, right, Del? You always say question everything.
Yeah, that's true. That's a big thing. There is that with a lot of these channels that have come out there, and there's a cajillion of them. There is that everybody's out there to sort of fighting for to be the best or the interesting one or something like that. And I think some of them you really have to question that are they fake and stuff like that. What's sort of good about watching this stuff there, he says, well, make up your mind there whether this is a hoax or not, but this is the information. And that's the part there is that, like, even on the delicious recipe, is that I just share a lot of the information stuff that I've found, and it's not I'm not here to convince you and stuff like that. I'm just to share information and maybe enlighten you to something you might not have been thinking about, or just looking at it a different way.
Yeah, you know what? I like to do that with my show. I had Augie Noss last night on. I'm also the host of my own show, The Angel Rock, on Monday nights. And we were talking about actually Agenda 21. And we were talking about the big V, we'll call it. We were calling it a remedy just because we want to behave ourselves on YouTube here. And, you know, we put the information out there, but I said several times throughout the show, but you don't have to, we're not trying to convince you, you don't have to believe us. But if anything strikes you as a bit of an impetus to tweak a bit of curiosity, even if you don't believe it, there's like no freaking way that that is possible, and you start doing your own research, then we've done our job, right? Because that's what we want people to do, is to go out there and start reading for themselves, not just getting somebody to necessarily tell you on TV, but to look in alternative avenues for the information and see what you find.
Yeah, that's a good point there, is because a lot of mainstream media, especially here in Canada, ours
Mhm.
is funded by the government, so
Yeah.
they're pro government talking points, and there is no, whereas news before used to be for, not for the most part, but for the somewhat part, was it was debate and uh, talking about issues and looking at both sides of things. Whereas sort of you've seen there now today, it's they stand on one side of the fence and they're pro that side party of news, and
Mhm.
everything else is wrong compared to them. And that's why it's so important to do your own research and search out for alternative news sources and people that are out there sharing information of stuff that they've uncovered and found, because that's the best way to learn, is to gain as much knowledge as you can, and the good and the bad.
No, and actually you taught me that, because I find it very unpalatable to watch certain things, but we need to know what's going on in the mainstream media, what the narrative is, certain characters that they feature and they support and only show those views, or they just completely just disregard anything questionable. And we need to know both sides. Like I said, the best thing to do is to question everything. And the one thing I pointed out last night, and I'm really beginning to believe this wholeheartedly, is if somebody has been quote unquote deplatformed, um, they have either lost their avenue to be able to speak on social media, or maybe they were monetized on a certain social media venue and they've lost that, or it's been fact checked, or whatever it may be. I would say that's probably a really good sign that you should check that out further. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, that's that's the conversation that's going on there right now with the big three there, Google, YouTube, or not three or four, Facebook, Twitter, and stuff like that, is that they're using their fact check, or their belief system, and their uh, I guess you would say political leaning uh, bias on things. So whatever they don't agree to, that's incorrect fact. And we've seen this over the course of over the few years. There is that anything they don't agree on, you're either banned or removed from, or you're throttled down, or you're blacklisted, or you're shadow banned, or and it usually happened with anybody that was anti DNC, right? That was a big thing that was happening throughout the states, and that, and you got to figure is that the is it was actually, a lot of it was locally as well, just in North America, where it was being seen in other countries. And we've noticed this too, me and you, is that certain things that you're searching for, if you get away from, say, a Google search bar and you use DuckDuckGo, you'll
Yeah.
find uh, other information about that, or it'll be higher in the list where it isn't on, where it is on Google, and that, where there's this sort of a ranking system of what they believe.
Yeah, you'll definitely find on using, and it's not just DuckDuckGo, there's many. Just DuckDuckGo seems to be becoming very, very popular. I find it's very unbiased, that you will find all platforms presented in that search engine not just those leaning towards the left or pro DNC, like you said. But we were talking about tonight's topic. I actually had a whole host of videos I was looking at. Oh, I don't know if the Dell disappeared on me. Oh,
Oh,
no, he's back. He's just disappeared quickly. And I think I forget what started it. I think it was a video I had sent to Sarah on Sunday. And I said, this is just incredible. And it was actually 10 so-called aliens caught on camera. And I think that that's always it's one of those proverbial questions of, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Have they always been there? But because everybody's got a cell phone and everybody's got a camera, and cameras, all of technology has come so far that we're just catching more of this, or is there really more? What's your thoughts?
yeah. Well, I think that's the big thing. There is that more people have cameras now, and it's sort of you look at 20 years ago. I look at what I had first. I had a little flip phone, cam phone, and stuff like that. With I don't even think it had a megapixel camera that was on it, and just to send pictures. They were really grainy, and that now we have basically a supercomputer in a smartphone on your hand, and they're readily available to to people all over the world. I always found this was sort of interesting. I think I've mentioned this to you before. Is that it's surprising the cost of what a iPhone is here in Canada, or even what you get in the States. But then we watch videos of these other countries, or which are supposed to be third world countries that are less. Everybody's got an iPhone, or everybody's got a Samsung phone, the top of the line brand new phone, and they're just abundant. But over here, you're paying an arm and a leg for it, right?
Mhm.
It's amazing. I just find this so
Well, I
that's
think
so
because most people will pay for it. How many times have we seen people line up a week before, camping out, waiting for the latest Apple product? I don't see it so much with Samsung or Android so much, but definitely with Apple products. Not so much, obviously, with what we've been going through over the last year. But people do that. But then again, we get back into, I'm going to call it truth seeking. I believe the reason why there's a cell phone in everybody's hand. I mean, I've even seen some of the programs from the US with welfare, depending on what states that they're in, about how they get a free phone, especially as it was with previous presidents. And I believe that part of this is this tracking system that's going to be coming because they track you with your phone.
Oh, for sure. That's what I was talking about there earlier with my show dealing with China as the government, not the communist government, not China the people, but the government player and stuff like that, and how this rolling out this 5G technology out to the rest of the world, and their involvement in other third world countries, bringing infrastructure in there. But along with the infrastructure, they bring the technology, and with the
Mhm.
technology, it brings the idea that they can assume all your information. And I think
Mhm.
that's the biggest currency that's out there. Is information is way bigger than the dollar or the diamond or the bar of gold.
Mhm.
Having information to stuff is way more important, and then you have to worry about who is controlling the information, who has the keys to the to it all, and what are they doing with that information. And you can see what's happened in China with the social credit
Yeah.
score, and you can see what's going to be happening here, probably that's being actually pushed for in Canada and pushed for in the States, is this vaccine passport. And it won't be a card, it'll be a tracking passport that is on your
Mhm.
smartphone,
Yep.
because everybody seems to carry around these things. This is the way the world has gone to, is that people cannot leave their smartphone. It's worse than crack cocaine. They have to have it with them. They have to be checking it all the time. They have to be connected. And this is how we've moved. We've moved to this umbilical cord of this thing here that you need, and it's the easiest way to go with this thing is to track other people that are in your area as well. It picks up all the pings. There's so much information and technology that people don't understand that's involved in these things, and it's surprising that we're not more informed about it.
Well, I'm starting to think that that movie, The Kingsman, I think it was called The Kingsman,
Yeah.
and it was with Samuel L. Jackson, that he was giving everybody free cell phone service. Remember, with that chip? But really what it was he could blow people up at will. He could do whatever he wanted. Like, is that, never mind that in most developed countries, your driver's license and your passport, and we've got a health card here, but they all have that RFID chip. And wasn't it last night we were watching one of the documentaries that say when you're walking up that thin hallway, they were talking about going to immigration when you walk through, that they've already got all your information. Was that last night we were watching that? They're scanning you through that hallway and they've already, and it was somebody from the government, like higher up, like one of the alphabet soup agencies that was saying, we've already got all your information. We don't even have to ask you. We've got it. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing is that you look at here in Canada, your driver's license, you have a little scan code that's on
Hmm.
there. Credit cards, yeah, you're right. Bank cards and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Most of all information is going that way with some sort of information embedded on there. And it was off of Netflix. I think it was called Spy Game, and it was
Hmm.
just discussing the technology that companies and governments have right now and are using. And it's been sort of talked about, like I said, with China, with what they're doing, but it's being used here in North America, and you're not aware of it. And like they said, is that unless you have like, your card in some sort of magnetic protection envelope,
Faraday cage, basically.
yeah, stuff like that, they can just go around and just zap and just it just reads that information because it sends. There's lots of programs you can watch how this technology works. All it is just it creates a field and it talks to each other as it goes by. It's just a simple. You don't even know it's happening. You're be in your purse or in your back pocket, and that information is gone, and you don't have to be that far away from the system at all. But it's that stuff is just amazing and of how we've moved that way, and it's surprising to see how much that companies and governments and stuff like that are tracking you and all your information and who you're talking to, right?
Hmm. Well, that's true, and they don't even need to ask. And the other thing is, they're talking about the real reason. It's a different show we can do on this, but the real reason for the social distancing and everything else is for tracking purposes and keeping people apart from each other and what have you. But actually, Augie Nost last night, who I had on, I do want to give a shout out to Zach Mann. He's one of our regular supporters of both, well, UPRN, but also my show and the Tonight Show as well. So welcome, Zach. Is that he kind of surprised me because I hadn't quite heard this little extra point he added in there. We were talking about Agenda 21. We were talking about who's behind all this, who are the players. And then when he mentioned that he believes, and Aki's a pretty solid guy, he's not, out there throwing around crazy stuff. He's usually got something to back it up. He says, as he understands it, that where this has truly come from is off the planet. Now, a lot of people are going to be going, this is crazy. Why don't you just put your tinfoil hat on? But once you start looking into this, and I know Joe Montaldo is even doing a study with ICAR, International, I think it's Center for Alien Research, I believe. I hope I've got that right, Joe. But anyways, the DNA profile of Rh negative, green eyes, red hair, a lot, especially the Rh negative blood, though, never existed in our DNA profile before 20,000 years ago. So where did it come from? So what one of the theories is that this planet actually was inhabited by alien species before, and there's many theories on that humans here were just used as slaves to help mine gold that they needed. Long story short, which is one of the theories he put out there that he does believe, is that the narrative is actually coming from one of these alien races that used to be, I guess, control this planet. And, this theory of eugenics and decreasing the population, that the reason why they're doing this is the theory is that within the next 50 years, everything is going to be done by by AI, artificial intelligence. So really, where do human beings come into that factor? They really have no need for us. We mess up the planet. We've got a lot of garbage. We've got a lot of what everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
I never considered that before, but I don't know. Have you heard that theory before?
I've heard something like that there too as well. And part of another theory that I've heard, and this comes into this whole thing that, and you can think about this as matrix wise and stuff like that. But the part is that how can you be sure about the history that you read about in your books and stuff like that? So there's a theory out there is that this history of stuff that was considered to be old books and stuff like that, even going back to Library of Alexandria, but like more recent than that, is that if you look back 500 years ago, how can you be sure that anything past that time there is actually factually true, besides
Sure.
that it was written in a book,
Hmm.
right? Or it was written on a piece of stone and somebody has portrayed that info or conveyed that information along to you. See, there's a theory that they're talking about revelations in the end time and stuff like that. And they said how much information about the dark ages, there's not that much about that, but that could have been during that 1,000 years of they're talking about in the revelations times that the devil had come up, or the end times had started then, and the
Hmm.
history that we're being told there today has been just fabricated, and people believe what it is. There, it's just a theory out there, people. It's not something that is actually that being I'm
No, but
pushing
I'm going to
here.
throw something out out there. I just want to give a shout out to Justin Case. Actually, believe it or not, Justin, my son's name is Justin, Dels's stepdad, but his father, when my Justin was born, actually wanted his middle name to be Case. And I said, no, I can't do that to my son, but it's a cool name for you too. He says it's 4:30 a.m. here in Copenhagen, Denmark. So welcome. I said, good morning. Um, Going back to this theory, and I forget how I found this. I think I was looking up the um the Nephilim one time, and this theory came up about the Anunnaki, and they were talking about where the Dead Sea is. And I guess if you're able to see it from really high up above, like we're talking probably the space station or, pretty high orbit if you're flying over with whatever device. I'm not an expert in that area, but that it's actually a real black scar on the earth, and there's radiation levels quite high over there still, that some people are theorizing was there actually quite a civilization here before. Going back to the stone carvings you're talking about, we're seeing how many depictions. I mean, just some of the stuff you've been watching yourself, I've seen pictures of very, very clearly. You can see that it's something alien. Even some of the things that has been passed down, how do we know the things they were thinking maybe were angels or what they were? Maybe they really were, aliens from another planet. And then how did all this radiation where the Dead Sea ended up, how did that end up there?
Mhm.
I'm starting to the more and more you research this and you get little bits and pieces and you put this together, it's um not that far away from a reality once you start really looking into this. I'm not saying it's true. What I'm saying is, I would consider it a possibility. What do you think?
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing out of it is that how certain can you be in your own reality that the history from back before is actually true, right? You can
Mhm.
say this is the part that people will say says, well, it was written in a book, and they said this is about the pyramids. These people were back here, right? That was an interpretation that was put in there. And then you're taught about this in school and whatever other post secondary school you go through and stuff like that. They'll say is that, well, we've carbon dated or radioactive dated this. It's got to be back during this time, right? They still don't know how all these pyramids,
Mhm.
monuments in India, in South America, how they moved huge amounts of stone that we can't even do today with our technology, that we can move the same amount of stuff or create the same amount of things.
Mhm.
The artwork that was done back then when they were supposed to be only using bronze tools or stone tools or
Yeah.
copper tools that we can't even do today with the best tools that we have even today. But they did it with ease and in a time frame way easier than us. So that leads to this whole question is that how far back can you trust history?
Well, you and I were before we go any further, I didn't realize sorry about that, Pedro Scassi. He's over on Facebook. Come on over to YouTube, the UFO Paranormal channel, and then if we wanna write a comment, we can comment, but I can still see you all the comments from everywhere I mentioned at the beginning of the show, so can Dell, in on our phones here where we're broadcasting from, but I'm watching YouTube. No, but going back to that, like, we were just talking about this just before we started, we were outside, and I didn't even know all the words to our own national anthem, how much had been changed. And I have a friend, Dan Willis, who I've had on my show quite a few times on the Angel Rock, and he's actually gone back to 1900 and connected all the dots where history has been changed. And you guys think about this, if something's been changed, sometimes it only takes one generation, but by three generations, you pretty well take it as fact, whatever you've been told. All the history books have been changed about the war, what really happened, like especially World War II. All kinds of things have been changed. So again, you have a really valid point, Dell. Like, how much can we trust? It just keeps reminding him of that game, telephone, where you're sitting in a circle, say with 20 people. Somebody starts with a sentence and you whisper it from one person to the next person to the next person. By the time you get to the end, you ask the person, what was the phrase? And almost 9 times out of 10, it's nowhere near close to what you started with, right?
Yeah, that exactly. That's a good analogy to put there. That's the questions that seem to be coming up here more and more while people are looking into these mysteries of 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 our timeline and that. And when you're talking about changes and stuff like you mentioned that the Canadian national anthem is that the one change that was done was just recently as 2018 because they
Mhm.
wanted to the LGBTQ society wanted to change a line in there. They didn't want to have in all thy sons command, right? Because oh, sons, that's a male thing, right? And this is how weird this gender politics has pushed the framework of society in a really twisted way here in Canada, in North America, period. Too, and it's really strange that such a small percentage of people have twisted the rest of the nation in that. But yeah, they changed that in all thy sons command to in all of us command because they had to get that sons out of the national anthem. And then they changed another line. They changed God keep our land glorious and free to O Canada, right? Because they couldn't have that in there because now you're talking about religion. This is our national anthem that was the lyrics were done in 1908, right? And like this is something that
Well, the scary part is we don't just have one national anthem, we have 2. We have it in English and French.
right.
So I don't even know how much they've changed in French because, nothing translates word for word from English to French. So, it'd be interesting to see how they've changed the French version of the national anthem as well.
Yeah, well, what I was looking at there is that the original song, right? If I get this right here, because it was written in 1818 by Calixa Lavallée, and it was written in French, right? And there was
Mhm.
lyrics, and then in 1908, it was the lyrics were written in English by Robert Stanley Weir, and they weren't just taken like a translation from that. So then you have when they translated the English into French, there to be the bilingualism that Canada is, which is
Mhm.
sort of how we sort of sit here
We
in Canada.
could do a whole show on that. We were talking about this before. I'm going to read a few comments. We've got a few people over on Facebook. Like I said, hi, Pedro. I think you were there last night for our paranormal host chat. So welcome. Like I said, another regular of our show. She's actually from our city and a fellow nurse, Shannon Casey. Welcome. She's over on Facebook. I'm going to read Justin's comments. He's got a few here. He says, the grass didn't exist on this planet until 35 million years ago. So where did it come from? And he says mutations. Then he says, because I had mentioned about calling my son Justin, his father actually wanted to call him just in case. And that's what Justin uses. He said, um, synchronicity, he said, had just in time in mind for my YouTube avatar. My real name is Hans Heinrich uh, Loichi. I'm not saying it right. But none can pronounce my family name exactly. Or is it Loika? I'm not sure, but I'm sure you'll let me know. So I picked a pseudonym. And Shannon says, "Am I on the right channel?" Channel, LOL. Yes, you are. I was letting people know where to find us, and YouTube is not happy with us over on our main channel. So good, thank goodness we got our second channel here. So
Yes.
we're off for a week, right, Del?
Yeah, it's a UFO paranormal talk, right?
Radio.
Radio, yeah. So it's not on the UPRN one, UFO
Yeah.
paranormal.
Then Justin added, "Just in case" was also pseudonym for the American horror, weird, and sci-fi writer Hugh Barnett Cave, July 11th, 1910 to June 27th, 2004, a prolific contributor to pulp magazines of the 1930s. I did not know that. You know why my ex wanted to call him that? Because he thought it was funny. And I really just didn't want to saddle my children with any names. I remember even when I was picking their names that I was trying to come up with every version that people could make fun of, because you know how cruel sometimes, especially middle school children can be. So I said, "No, I'm not doing that to him." His middle name is Michael, so but still that's funny. Back to our discussion though. So that's what made me start looking at this. And I actually wrote down quite a few things here. I went through quite a bit of research. Hopefully, I can find it on this phone. Maybe not this one. I've got a million devices here to keep an eye on everything. Um, but there was a couple of things I saw. Now, there was one that was crazy. I'm calling BS on it. Okay. What this was, and it's in a foreign language, I believe somewhere probably in Pakistan or Middle Eastern area like that. And it says alien baby. And I don't have mod rights on this channel in particular, so I can't post the link. I'll probably post some of these links on the banner where I share the show so you guys can check these out. But this thing was just incredible. I'll go on my YouTube channel on here. I'll be able to find it for you guys. It's in my history. And it was creepy as you know what. This thing is laying on, it looks like a piece of metal, and it's moving. It has these huge lips, and the skin is all white with red in it. And the hands look like they're like clubbed hands. There's no fingers, but it's moving its hands and it's kind of moving around. It's moving its mouth. It doesn't look like a puppet to me, but it says alien baby caught on camera. It says watch exclusive video. I'll tell you guys what it was from if you want to check it out yourself. It was 4 years ago, and I'm probably not going to do this. It says One India is all one word. Hindi. It's a news channel. This is quite the baby thing on here. Maybe I'll send you the link, Del, and you
What is
can
it?
go
Okay.
ahead.
Alien baby caught on camera?
Yeah, and One Hindi is a channel, or One India is ONEINDIA. I forgot you got the TP down there. And then space HIND is in dog I.
Okay. Let's see if I can find it here.
Yeah, if you guys are watching along, check this thing out. See, I'd love to hear your thoughts. This just like I don't understand the language. There's no English translations. But this is just, oh my Lord.
Okay,
Like,
so
where this thing come from? Now, it could be a puppet because you're not seeing the legs. I might have to send you the link to find it. I'll see what everybody else is saying in the chat. There was many things that I caught. I'll go through the comments while you're looking. The second time you tried pronouncing my family name, you came pretty close. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad. I do speak a couple languages. I don't speak Danish. My sister-in-law, actually, her parents are from Denmark. Then you said, furthermore, just in case was a character used by civil defense during the Cold War, along with Be Prepared. Oh, I love it. BEA prepared. That's funny. I don't know if anybody in the chat has found this. I don't know how well it's, like I said, it's in Hindi, obviously. Have you found it yet, Del?
I'm looking at One Hindi alien baby.
Yeah, it says alien baby caught on camera, comma, Watch exclusive video. I'm gonna send it to you. I'll send it on Messenger just so you can see what the channel, because the icon or
Oh yeah.
thumbnail.
Okay, let's see. I'll play it here. See if I can do this. I wonder if I can switch my camera around.
You might be able to. Can you? Because I usually I have mod status on the other page, so I can just post the link. And I know Joe's not sitting right by the computer, otherwise he would post it for us. But this is just creepy. Oh my goodness. Um, let me see. Did you find it, Del?
I'm looking here.
I'm gonna send it to you. You guys
Back.
let me know in the chat if you find this, because this thing is just,
Okay,
I'd love
let's see
to
if I
hear
can
you.
play it this way here.
I'll send it on Messenger to you.
Oh, we got a little commercial here. I don't know why YouTube keeps on putting these commercials on everything.
Okay, I just sent you the link.
Is this the one here?
Yep, that's the one. Yeah, and you guys, for those of you watching, it's an icon that's like a blue, navy blue circle with in big letters ONE or one in it. Look at this thing, you guys. You can see it on our TV. We've got a line across the bottom on our TV. That's what happens with TVs. So watch this thing move, because at first when you see it, you go, "There's that thing is so fake." But when you watch it move, I don't know.
I think that is something wearing a mask or something. I don't
Well,
know.
why
That looks
would you
like
put a mask on a baby? I guess maybe, but to me, I thought maybe a puppet, but I don't think it's a puppet. Like, watch this thing move.
I
It's
don't know. It
not
could
wearing
be
makeup.
could be like an animal with something on it, or somebody put a
I
costume on a animal.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like prosthetics, and it doesn't look like a mask. But like I said, the legs are covered up if it even has any. And
Oh,
it's not in English, so you can't, there's no subtitles either. So I can't hear what people obviously, or understand, I should say, I can hear. I can't understand what people are saying. If you guys are watching, Dell's got it turned on his camera. You can see this. It's not very long, but
alien baby on camera. One India Hindi.
yeah.
What year was this? January 21st,
Here,
2017.
yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. It is just creepy as creepy. See, it's hard to say, right? Like, you can't absolutely call BS on it, could you?
No.
Well, I was doing a lot of research too. A lot of stuff that was coming up was about the Roswell crashes and the people that were involved, the people that have disappeared, that seeing the one lone survivor that was still alive right after the crash.
Yeah.
Um, there was one gentleman who was the press secretary. He was just below this, want to say Captain Jesse something something. They interviewed him in one of the interviews I was watching, and he was told what to release to the public, and then they reversed it. They're all talking about this piece of fabric from the crash that looks like a Hershey's chocolate bar or candy bar wrapper,
Yeah.
but like they said, they even took a sledgehammer to it. They tried everything, nothing would make it change its shape. They were talking about, and the one gentleman that was the press secretary, because they were all warned, never speak of it again or we will kill you. So he went to before a notary and somebody else, and he sealed it, and he gave a whole testimony, and it was to be released after his death. So he did. And the one documentary I watched, they were going over what he was saying. He was saying it was definitely not a weather balloon. So just in case says, yuck, that's creepy. Looks like some sea creature to me, or a very sick cat. Pretty big
Really?
lips for a cat. Pretty big lips for a cat, I'll tell you, that baby.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts, Justin? Like, it's hard to call a fake on it though, right? Because one minute I'm like, that there's no way. I mean, as a nurse, I worked in the NICU, so I've seen many a premature baby, many poor little ones born with a lot of deformities that aren't life compatible. I've seen many things like that. I have never seen anything like that before, ever. Or what about these doorbell cams that are catching all kinds like that. And there's quite a few news stories out there. There's one from about a year or two ago, a woman caught on her doorbell cam, and he literally looks like Dobby from behind, and he's kind of like dancing down her driveway, and the newscasters are having a heck of a time laughing their butts off, but they don't know what it is. And
You see that
it
picture?
pardon?
You see that picture there on my screen?
It's pretty tiny, but what is that?
That's the same baby, I think.
Oh, is it bigger now?
This one was government maternity. I don't know where this was here, someplace, but it almost looks like the similar sort of thing there.
See, oh my goodness, I can't really see it, but it almost looks like the baby from that old TV series, The Dinosaurs. Do you remember that one with all the puppets from Jim Henson's? And the
Yeah,
baby would always be in the high chair going, "Not the mama, not the mama." I don't
yeah.
know. Like I said, there's so many. There was one that I caught, and again, it was in a different language. Now, I'm calling BS on the first section of it because it looked like a creature from one of the creepy movies. I'll find it again on YouTube for you, and I'll give you the channel name. But there was a second part to it, and I have seen that video before. That was caught on camera. That was real. Let me see if I can find it. Alien baby we got. Hang on. Or what about that famous video? It's from South America, and I've listened to it live, and this guy, he has a tin roof on his barn, and he's hearing all this banging, and he goes out there with the camera, and there's this completely looks like naked 8-foot humanoid type thing, but it's got a really long, skinny head, and it's got no hair.
Hmm.
That is creepy as well. I'm getting goosebumps. This one I looked at, it's been on many channels. It was called YUK. I think it's Yuki Stats Comparisons. And it's what is this? Aliens caught on camera. That one, and the head is really long and thin. It looks like a light bulb. And then this other one, unexplained mysteries caught on camera. This one always freaked me out. It's named after a Japanese name for person, I think, and it's all white, and it's got legs and then like a blob, and you can see a face on the blob, and sometimes they're up to 70, 80 feet long. And this thing's walking on the ice in Antarctica, but they had other pictures of really, really, really big ones.
Wow, eh? Well,
Hmm.
that's the sort of the interesting thing that you get out of this now, is that you have to wonder, is that are some of these things just genetic abnormalities due to the toxification of the intake of food and chemicals and water, or prescription drugs and stuff like that that has done damage to the human reproductive system in some people. It causes these mutations and that. The other part there you have to look at is that is this maybe somebody hoaxing this stuff, that they created something to get some sort of adoration, some sort of whatever, just to sort of
Well,
to trick
just in case says about that baby, it's a human
yeah.
baby that was born with a rare skin disorder called Harlequin think it's ichthyosis. Poor child didn't survive many days. I did believe that too, and I've heard of that, but I've never seen it that severe, that poor little thing. And it's true because I would believe you about that because I remember when we worked in the NICU, I didn't even know we had these books, but we had a baby that was born with it, something very, 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 very rare. And they pulled this textbook out. It was very quiet in the NICU one night on nights, and we were going through there, and some of the pictures of these poor little ones that were born like with one eye and like no face, and yeah, there's a lot of things like that, so I would believe it. So what a horrible thing to do. You know what, but that does happen over there, because I know I've seen cases of what should have been congenital twins, but the other twin didn't develop. But say I know there was one case where this child is revered, because it has the legs and the arms of the conjoined twin, but the rest of the twin didn't develop, and they think he's a god because of all the extra limbs. And I'm sorry, I'm not up on my mythology when it comes to Hinduism, but because this child has so many limbs, it's revered. They believe that it's blessed, but many times they're also shunned and much worse when there's deformities over there too. So I don't know. Like I said, there were so many things. There was 9 strange things spotted on Mars, 10 aliens in real life. The one though I'm gonna send to you, it was under the 5 unexplained mysteries caught on camera, the things.
Yeah.
You'll see in the thumbnail this character that I'm talking about, and this is quite little, and it's video that was caught. But like I said, apparently the legend goes they can grow up to like 80 to 90 feet. And there were other parts like pictures people had taken, and they're quite big. They're quite big, these things.
You said 5 unexplained mysteries caught on camera? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm sending it to you. It's
Called
the
the
thumbnail. The thumbnail has this creature, and I forget what the name. I want to say a Niffin or Nippin or Nikin or something like that. It's a Japanese name for this thing. Yeah, that yes, Justin. There's also a case with 2 heads on one body. There's actually a living set of twins. They're conjoined twins. They have 2 heads
yeah,
and
this
they
the
share a body. They're in the US and they each have a driver's license. They're teachers. Um, Brittany, and I forget what her sister's name is. So yeah, that does happen. It does happen. There's many, many different things like that. Did you find it, Al?
yeah.
Okay. Like I said, it's
Oh,
too bad we're not on the other channel because we'd be able to post these with you. But like I said, that I forget what this it's called. An I should have wrote it down. I was going to. It's a Niken or a Niken or something like that. That they it's from Japanese legend, and somebody caught this on camera over in the Antarctic, and it is the creepiest looking thing.
yeah.
Or there was one I watched with a trail cam, and
Can you
I
see
had
that
a
now? You can
pardon.
see. You can see that now.
Yeah, is that the one with the 5 things caught
Yeah.
on camera? Yeah, okay, you'll
Yeah.
see some of the things that were caught. You have to maybe tell people what you're seeing because it's pretty small to me to see it, but
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you're looking off of a computer there, you can see with the text there. We're having one quiet Thursday night in August of 2017. They're catching something on camera. Well,
is it
there's
like a light
a lot of theatrics along with this site. There seems to be,
theatrics?
yeah, like the guy adds extra animation to the story when he's telling that.
That always drives me crazy when people do that because you don't know what the real thing is almost.
Somebody getting pulled out of their bed. Oh,
Mm.
see that did. Oh, there's the owl going. Oh, oh, there's a ghost outside, and somebody's caught on camera out by their car in the parking lot. That's the whole thing about some of these sites there. They add so much extra stuff to make them sort of interesting there. I
It's
just want to see what
beautiful.
they saw, right? Show me the tape of what
That's
they
what
saw.
I want. Second one I've sent you, what is this? It says aliens caught on camera, proof of aliens exist. That's the one that's quite famous over in South America that was on the roof of the barn. That was creepy, that thing. I don't know what that is. If it's a
Is
rake.
that the other one there? What is this? That one you're talking about?
Yes, I that's quite famous, and I've watched the video. Like you can hear the sound, and it's scampering along the metal roof. And I think it makes a few little squeaks or something, but it turns to look at him, and its head is super big. There's not a hair on it. It's not human, and it's got like a long head that almost ends almost like the top of a light bulb. It looks like that's pretty viral. That one, I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
But it,
Yeah. Let me just get this
yeah, you
here.
turn around for people so they can see it. Yeah.
Okay, let's see if this shows up. I
This
said,
is quite famous, this one. It went viral. You can see that one everywhere.
okay,
I don't know if this is a rake. I don't know if this is an alien. I don't know what this is. Imagine
okay.
seeing that on your roof, hearing noise outside, going to check what it is, and that thing's on your roof.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Almost there. Okay, I gotta find this. Okay, do it a different way. Okay, I see, but I screwed this up here. I didn't put the guy's name in there properly.
okay. Yeah, I found the ones I was talking about, some of these in here.
Okay, there we go. I'll do it this way. This is only a minute and something
Yeah, they're
seconds.
not that long, the ones that I tried to share, so people could watch and see that they're not that long. I know that Justin says, I know a Native American Cherokee who looks very much like a gray alien, long, slim limbs and neck, pear shaped head with huge eyes and tiny ears.
It almost looks like somebody wearing a unitard there on somebody's roof.
I've watched it, Dell, like the video, like, and you can hear it. It's real, this thing. I don't know what it is. It went viral. I remember when this came out.
Yeah. You figure with this is always the contention I have with people that film stuff and put up there is that with the cameras there today, they have autofocus and stuff like that. Why are the majority of all these things there
Yeah.
out of focus, very grainy, not clear? Like you could say, hey, well, it's because it was an alien, it was using cloaking technology, and that's why you can't see
That
it.
could be.
Well, there's always lots of excuses for a lot of
Yeah,
things
but
there, but
look at that head on this thing.
yeah, that's a little bit odd. That's weird, eh? But there's thousands and thousands and thousands of stations and stuff that you can go to that of weird stuff that people put on online.
Okay, well, the
Just
one I sent you, it says when he looked through his trail cam, he couldn't
okay,
explain what it had captured. Now it's long. There's this, and then right towards the end, there's something else. It's not as phenomenal as this. People
okay.
were trying to say this was classic Bigfoot. I don't think so. This has got the most human-like eyes, and they look light colored. I don't know what this is.
And so okay, this is what you're talking. Okay, I
Yeah.
found that.
And
Okay,
towards the end, there's something else. Just in case says for the March issue of California based Skeptic magazine, I co wrote with Tim Callahan an article on an alleged alien skull found on the Danish island of Sealand in 2007. So, what did you say? What were your thoughts about it, Justin? With it being Skeptic magazine, did you believe it was the real thing? Because you said alleged. Was there enough to lean one way or the other, or did you leave it for the reader to decide?
I'm gonna put on subtitles here. Eh? There we go. I'll put on that. Okay, I'll leave that on there. I'll leave that play like that. Can you see that there now, Laura?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Okay,
Because
this
he
is what
put some B-roll in there too, but when he gets to the photo,
okay, well, I'll let that run like that for a
there,
second
that's
there.
the photo. That was caught in his trail cam.
Yep.
And some people were trying to say this is classic Bigfoot. Yeah, I don't know if I could say that. Not that I've been that close to either, but that doesn't look like Bigfoot to me.
Yeah.
Like if you see the eyes, it's pretty crazy. So, but my whole thought and the reason why we're thinking about this, these are just some of the examples we thought we'd share with you guys and see what your thoughts were. Is why? Why are we seeing this? For example, there also, I belong to an international podcasting group that somebody put together on Messenger. It's a private group, and we share stuff from all over the world. And there was one guy that shared something that had been posted about 12 minutes before, and it's all these shooting sparks and lights across the sky, and you hear the guy like swearing a blue streak, like WTF, WTF. And then I know Dell, I had showed it to him, and Dell's quite the skeptic, even after everything we've been through paranormally ourselves. I say we always kind of meet in the middle. Don't get me wrong, I use discernment. It's not like I believe everything that comes through. I have, I question pretty well everything too. But he found out that apparently this was something that was caught in Earth's orbit that was supposed to return earlier in the week, and it was related to Elon Musk. Yet there's somebody I follow. Dell really doesn't care for him, but he's over in the UK, Simon Parks. Simon Parks says that it was a satellite that was shot down. Again, I never got a definitive answer, but at least we got an answer, or like you did, Justin, when we presented the alien baby. And I didn't have a chance to look it up because I was researching quite a bit. So I appreciate that you did that. Um, Nonetheless, we found out what the reasoning was, that this definitely is not a UFO, but it kind of looks like one. And like I said, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch, this is the picture that was caught in this gentleman's trail cam. I believe it was a rancher, and he had set a whole bunch up about around this huge ranch I think that he worked at. But he did it because he wanted to share trail cam footage of the wildlife and all the interesting, you know, animals that are out there. And I guess, as people say, if you have newer trail cams, especially, they're triggered by motion. So once they move, they then alert your phone or they email or whatever, text you to let you know there's an image on there. So that's how he knew about this. Now, towards the end of this video, I wasn't quite that impressed with it. There was an alternative image that was caught, and it literally looks like a glowing cloud over top of like a cut off stump. Now, most people would say, they discussed that in the video. Is this an anomaly? Just a glitch? Is it something that got caught on, with the film? But the interesting thing about this anomaly, and it looks like a cloud to me, a glowing cloud, is there's a beam of light coming down on top of the tree stump, and it's at night. So very interesting. And if these beings are all wandering around, and I don't know if they're coming through other dimensions or portals or from outer space or what, or even if they've always been here, even without a camera, it just shows you how unobservant we are as human beings, because these are cameras that are catching things. And don't get me wrong, we can't be watching something 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. But look at how much our camera is actually catching.
Yeah, that's true. And then you figure that what was the big thing there about those ring cameras,
Yep.
and that people have that, and then you have those are hooked up to your phones and stuff like that, right, for security purposes, and
Mhm,
not just those, but other cameras as well that people have for their own personal or business security, in that send them
mhm,
messages when something comes into view or alerts
mhm.
them, and catching things. And there's a lot of videos that I've seen there too that have been posted on YouTube or on the internet, and that of catching apparitions or some sort of animal
Mhm,
that doesn't look like a native animal to that
mhm,
area
mhm.
that has been around there. And there's been a lots for people catching things like little people or Bigfoot or some little gremlin.
Okay,
Like,
so let's talk about that, because you've done a lot of research on this and we actually haven't had time to discuss it. What is your thought on these little people? And you might want to refresh people's memories about what we're talking about. We're not talking about humans that are referred to as little people. Do you want to share maybe with people what you found through your research, and where the belief is, where they're coming from, or why they're even here?
well, the part of it, I guess, there's this talk about, or I wouldn't say talk, but there's this idea out there that
Belief.
belief that other species also inhabit this earth as we know right now, right? There's a talk in, like, people will go, oh, well, they believe in Bigfoot. Well, Bigfoot isn't real, or it is real, or whatever. Who knows? But when you go into the part of over in Europe and the old countries there, and over here in North America and South America, native tribes talk about encounters with a bushman or a hairy man, and they also, a lot of them talk about these little people out there. Sometimes they're mischievous, sometimes they're negative entities that affect play tricks, and sometimes they're good, they help and stuff like that. the stories often vary, but they're all talking about these similar type things. When I was talking, I think it was last month there with Q from Xeno Hunters, that was a story that they wrote there was about these little people, and he sort of described them as these little short little creatures with pointy heads and pointy chins and sharp pointy fingers and stuff like that, and they deceive people out in the bush and stuff like that. And there's a lot of talk that's been there with people that get lost in the bush and that actually make it out, or
Mhm.
even stories from little ones that are little humans, I mean, or people or of the tribe or people that have encountered these small little creatures and stuff like that that sort of exist in our reality and in another. That's sort of the thought. I don't know. There's a lot of differing thoughts, but if you look through the legends and lore throughout the world, these little small creatures and these hairy Bigfoot type people or type creatures are throughout everywhere, all through not
So
connected.
where do they come from though? Like what's their thoughts? Like I have thoughts about Bigfoot, and are we referring to elementals like the Fae when we're talking about these little people? Or are
Yeah,
they alien?
I think it is yes to a lot of things. That's the part nobody knows for certain, and it's I
Mhm.
guess it comes down to like the same thing that we were talking about yesterday on the host chat is that until somebody sits down and has definitive proof and a conversation that's recorded live in front of people that everybody can vouch for that this is and they explain it all, we're actually not going to really know as of yet. This all speculation and going through whatever is written about these things in history books or even in stories or passed down through generations through storytelling in that, and we see these uh, creatures, I guess you would say. I don't want to use the word creatures, but these not human uh, things or entities, whatever. They're written about and carved into rock and talked about in stories. So it's sort of interesting that this mythology still sort of exists today, and there's a large percentage of population that believe these things actually do exist.
They've
And
been
if you
caught on camera.
Yeah, and there was actually one that was actually recent there. I think it was off of that Nuke's Top Five. I
Yeah.
think it was the
It was
the
in
last.
Canada on a reserve in Alberta.
Yeah, it was
Mhm.
actually on the let's see if I can find this. It
Yeah.
was only a small little clippet of this,
Mhm.
but it is something that you would go and you would look at it and you go, what is that? Is that like a type of like uh, a mangy looking possum or something like that, or a creature that we know of that might have been deformed in a way or something like that. Like it could be a possibility of a lot of things. And I guess the always the question is that how far do you let your imagination go into thinking that it's something more, right? That's the whole thing about trying to find the truth in things, right?
I don't think it's imagination, though. We even asked one of our neighbors who is Métis, which is half First Nation and another nationality, and she was aware of them. She couldn't remember what the name was. Q is part of uh, First Nations, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, it's strongly believed of in First Nation culture. Again, where do they come from? And I have to read just in case his answer here about Skeptic Magazine with the aliens skull while you're that he co-wrote while you're looking for that, because he said I had asked him all those questions like what was the result of the article you shared that you'd co-written with Tim Callahan, and he said rumors wanted the skull to be alien. There were YouTube documentaries, headlines in British newspapers, etc., but it really was a piece of art made of plaster, wallpaper paste, and rust meant for exhibition on a sci-fi con. And then he said, lots of hoaxes out there, but still many unexplained mysteries because there's so many things. And then there seems to be creatures that are geographical, like the chupacabra, for example, or, the New Jersey Devil, or Mothman, or the Yeti, or, um, especially again, I'm going to go back to Nuke's top five. There's a lot of strange stuff, always called a jinn from the Middle East that we see on those videos, but there seems to be a lot of parts geographically that seem to have their own mystical, mythical creatures now, and they're getting caught on camera, or there's stories and there's legend and lore about it. Now, you're catching these things on camera because I don't know if we did it, Dell, or if Sarah and I did. I think Sarah and I did. It was about gnomes and little things like that. And there's a really viral video out there from South Africa or South America, where there's a woman filming her baby playing on the floor. And all of a sudden, it literally looks like a little tiny gremlin, or almost with gargoyle features,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
sprinting across the floor behind the baby. And it is so little. And there's a lot of video out there that's unexplainable.
yeah. I'm just trying to see if I can find this thing here. I don't remember
Mhm.
where I put it there.
So
Let
my
me see.
point is, or the dog man, or like for example, Thin Man or Slender Man, like that was actually a creepy pasta a few years ago. Now people are seeing pictures. Yeah, there's a lot of hoaxes because people that want this to happen or be the next big thing, but there's actual quite a few real photos of this type of thing. Now, is it a tulpa because enough people believe in it that collectively with energy that they've created it through their own belief system? Or what is this? Or is it alien? Is it coming from another dimension? Like I have so many questions. Like Dogman seems to come again out of nowhere. All of a sudden, it's showing up with such frequency. Why are they all coming? Like, is there a portal open? Are there other alien beings coming here? Because I've heard actually of certain aliens do have almost like a canine appearance. I wasn't aware of this. I found this in some research a couple months ago. So,
Mm-hmm.
and there were
Let's get,
creatures on this planet too that were very canine with almost like dog heads that I was reading way back through the legend and lore. There were actual beings that lived on the planet like this. Oh,
this
that's
is
the
one.
one. That's Dobby. That's the Dobby guy I was talking about that got caught on the doorbell cam. I'm
See if
sure
I
it
can.
is because he was dancing down the driveway.
Yeah. Let
Yeah.
me go. Some of these ones are sort of hard to.
Okay, just in case says, let's say I do believe in jinn and whatever. I had a nasty one on my neck for 5 years and it behaved like a poltergeist. You know what, Justin? I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not. Dell and I lived our previous home. We left about a year ago. We were lived through extreme, extreme paranormal activity. We have pictures. There were other people that were affected. We shared our story on Paranormal Survivor. It's season 4, episode 9. It's called Demonic Hauntings. And believe me, everything we said in that from our interview was true. We had no control over the story or how they did it or the actors that were involved or what have you. And after that, you know what? Some of the things that happened, I wouldn't have believed in a million years. Like Dell being thrown 15 feet across the kitchen, looking for some mustard in the fridge to go make a sandwich in the middle of the night. And then you said you got thrown across. You thought you had gotten shocked or something. And then you said when you stood up, the mustard was behind you. You never seen it fly over your head, right?
Yeah, yeah. That was sort of a weird experience there. Yeah, that
Mhm.
was just stuff like I don't know. I'll try and figure things out the most I can, but I never figured out how that happened or why that
Mhm.
happened. And I inspected that fridge for electrical shorts and stuff
You
like that.
never told me for a couple days after it happened. You never told me anything.
Yeah,
Mhm. Or again, we're both night people, so I think we were downstairs watching a movie. Our bedroom was in the basement. And then he was upstairs again about to make a sandwich. He comes running downstairs. Did you just come upstairs and smack me super hard across the back twice on the left shoulder? And I said, no, I haven't moved and I've never hit you before. Why would I just hit you for no reason? And you said there was something that hit you, and when you spun around, it was the exact replica of me, right?
No, that's not. No, you got that sort of a little bit wrong, though. No, what it was is that I was standing in the kitchen and I was getting a plate out and getting ready to make a sandwich. And as I was standing there facing the cupboard by the dishwasher, there I got hit in the shoulder. It felt like someone had hit me in the shoulder or thrown like a huge like a beanbag at me.
Yeah,
And
okay, so far I was okay with the story, so what part? Because I remember you
but
telling me that,
I
but it
turned
looked like
around
me.
and there was nobody there. But I looked down the hallway and I seen like a shadow move across the door, and we're because the bathroom, and I went down to the bathroom because you were in the bathroom, and I asked you, did you just throw something at me? That's the thing there. There wasn't that
Then
you.
we're getting our stories mixed up because I remember that because I was down in the basement and you came running down the stairs. I hadn't moved. And that's what you told me because I remember asking you, okay, so what did this fake thing, this fake me do? And you told me you had spun around and it looked like me from the back and then it went around the corner, you said, and it disappeared. Because I was in the basement, we were watching. See, there's so many stories with this that happened, though,
Okay.
like I said, it was almost 11 years of this, but there was something that took my form. You told me that before. It wasn't just the first time, there was a couple times. Or it would mimic people's voices. We had 4 main characters in that home that, it happened with. So, believe me, you saying about the jinn, now, jinn aren't that common as I understand, but it doesn't mean it couldn't happen, Justin.
Yeah, and you got to figure too is that this is a question asked there too with North America being a pretty new society, I guess you would say, in the last couple 100 years or whatever, and immigration of a lot of people coming in from other countries and bringing their beliefs and their lore and religions and stuff like that. That it's always a possibility that they bring along these entities or these beliefs or these conjurings with them over here. See, this is always the question that I always try to ask there is that to people is that do you like not even the part about do you believe in these things there, but do you understand that all people aren't always good. There's a lot of bad people out there that do bad things, and you can see this whether it's into dark occultism stuff there, pedophilia, ritual sacrifice. These things have gone on since the beginning of time. So there's always the possibility that there is evil people out there doing evil things, conjuring evil things for some sort of personal benefit or just to cause chaos. And that's a fact of life. Bad people do bad things, and
I think what it is, though, unless you really look at energy and the law of whether you want to call it physics or the universe, that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can be transferred from one place to another. And I don't think people realize the power of their words or their thoughts or their emotions, but part of magic is really believing it's going to work, using intent, even emotion when you're creating, say, a spell. Or, I mean, that's another thing I'll tell you right now, but be prepared if you look it up and don't use Google again, but it's called SRA, adrenochrome, all these things. And, even with the Suez Canal, um, I was looking at this ship that's there and the name behind it. Again, it sounds like tinfoil hat conspiracy theory type stuff. And again, there's not enough to prove what's going on there, but there's quite a bit of information coming through the underground about what's really on there, who's associated with that ship by the name of it, the whole bit. Now, whether we're ever going to find out about it and find out the truth, I don't know. But the thing is, the SRA, does exist. There's video out there. There is 2 young children by the name of Elisa and Gabriel. And if you're a parent or you've been around a lot of young children, what these 2 children say is going on when they're at their father's and when they're at school, that they'd have to be better than the best child actor. They should be winning every Academy Award, winning Oscar that is out there even, because the things they talk about and with nonchalance about it, like it's a normal thing, and no children should be talking about those kind of things. It is just incredible, and apparently these children were examined physically by a physician, and there are physical things to substantiate what they were talking about. So you can find this over on, if you do a search for this, and then but once you start doing this, and even about the adrenochrome, or I know Sarah and I did a show a couple of years ago called the Red Shoe Gang, and believe me, it's not a happy thing to look up. But the whole point with you saying this, Del, you're right, there are a lot of people out there doing a lot of evil things. There's a lot of good people, but there's a lot of evil people. Now, are they opening portals? Or let's go to CERN. Like, we can't prove what CERN's really doing, but they're not the only, hadron collider out there. I believe there's 5 of them around the world, isn't there?
Oh, I'm not sure about that. I know CERN is the most
I've
viewed.
heard that from quite a few people on this show that I've had on, that there's about 5 around the world. But
Mhm.
if you go look up the opening ceremony for that tunnel in CERN, it's about 3 hours long. Sarah and I were talking about this a couple weeks ago. It'll blow your mind. Even if you see who's in the audience there, it's amazing.
Yeah, that whole opening ceremony for CERN was really sort of interesting in a way because what
Mhm,
was given there? There was given a statue of Shiva with the many arms and the head,
mhm,
the destroyer, right? And
mhm,
the part of the ceremony of people dressed in red, like they were crawling out of hell or out of some dimension and stuff like that. Something that the collider was supposed to be dealing with, looking for these god particles, but it was very uh, dark and demonic, like a ceremony, which sort of really makes really a weird. Uh, you pose the question, why would you do that? Now, there's always this part about there when I find this interesting too, is that when somebody these groups get caught doing something that is questionable or looks dark or mysterious or could be sort of considered to be negative, they always sort of said, "Oh yeah, we were just joking about it. Yeah, no, it was just yeah, just wait. It's a way to sort of slough it off, right?" It was
mhm.
like that whole thing with Alex Jones catching them at the Bohemian Grove, and these people are sacrificing a fake effigy of a baby or a young girl or whatever, and cutting it open in front of Moloch, the big huge owl god, and stuff like that. And they're all like, "Oh, this is just playtime, but it's not really serious. We're just joking around." Well, no, it doesn't really seem that like that's a way to sort of shift the focus away, right? To hide what you're sort of doing, and like, why would you be doing that in the first place, right? It makes no sense, and like especially with the CERN thing, that was really weird. Or that Lady Gaga thing at a Super Bowl there, where she basically did the whole depiction of Lucifer falling from heaven and all the demons coming out of hell, and this is like going on there. Like, why would you do this? The song doesn't even talk about this, or it's not even the subject matter. But why would you do something like this, right? And they slough it off, says, "Oh, she's an entertainer. This is art that she was portraying, right?" But basically, it could have been a big, huge ritual. There was all these uh, pentagrams going around and all these symbols, magic symbols all over the place, which would sort of somebody that was looking into this, you would sort of question and go, "Hey, well, maybe this is sort of a ceremony or a conjuring or a spell that's being done in front of people in front of their own eyes and stuff like that, right? Where you can have all this energy of people around." Lots of questions to ask, and that's the whole thing, is that you have to look at your own belief is about how far do you believe any of this stuff, and if you do, like, how far does it go?
Well, I think for me, the biggest question is why? Why would you do this? Like, if you really have a sound reason, and I'm sorry, creative artistic license, yeah, everybody's afforded that. But that's not everybody's cup of tea, and if you're gonna invite that many people and you're gonna film it and you're gonna televise it, you're not just directing it towards a tiny little group, because that CERN thing was, like I said, all I know there are seasoned people that have watched that I know personally
Yeah.
that were shocked. There's somebody I know in particular didn't know about it. I was shocked they didn't know about it, but I also know they worked with many dark things, including dark magic. They really investigated that. They were horrified and recognized quite a few things from the dark side of magic, if you will. And to me, that just doesn't make sense. And I think what it is, and it was brought up in something I was watching recently. Maybe we were watching and I was half asleep, but it was talking about, say, back in the 1930s, when TV just started to come out and movies and things like that, right? You could not do what you do now and you show in movies and what have you, but they actually went through the evolution and the history of all this and how we kind of condition ourselves and the public to get used to it. So it's sort of the norm. It's almost like going back to changing history, right? The longer we believe the lie, the longer it becomes the truth, or the more it becomes the truth. And we're at the point now, and you were the one that found this, and this still horrifies me to this day. It was entertaining, but I don't know if it would be entertaining for children. And that's the Owl House from Disney. There is a demon dog in that cartoon. There's all kinds of symbols of magic and with witches and all kinds of stuff. And you can tell from watching it, with myself being a mother, that it would probably be targeted for an age group of about 7 to tween age, maybe early teenage years.
Yeah.
And most people, and I've been guilty of this myself, thinking that Disney is a safe thing to sit your kids in front of and watch TV. Maybe you need, to go run yourself a bath or whatever it may be. But the thing is, how many parents actually sit down and watch television with their children? Like, if you really watched all this stuff, you'd be like, "Oh my lord." That happened with me with Family Guy. My kids were about 4 and 6 at the time, and always laughing their butts off at Family Guy. It was a TV, or cartoon, I mean, obviously, you know that, but it was cartoon, and it was on one of the children's television programs. It was
Yeah.
around supper time. Sorry, I'll finish up really quickly. And, it was around the time my first husband and I, he'd get home from work, dinner was done, we, get caught up in each other's day, and the kids were quiet and watching TV. Well, one day we sat down and watched it with them, and I just about died that my children had been watching this for a few weeks unsupervised because it's definitely not meant for kids. Sorry, go ahead, Del.
Yeah, no, if they're watching there on there, this is the Gothard railway tunnel that was opened up. This is their opening ceremony. So you had at the beginning, you had a bunch of men in their underwear
Mhm.
dancing on a railway car here, and then you have these little bush demons that sort of come out. Then you have this angel that comes down off of this out of the, I don't know where they coming down from the sky, I guess, or whatever. And then they have these people sort of celebrating and rolling around the ground on it. And this is an opening ceremony to a to a tunnel. Like, this is just crazy stuff. This is like weird stuff. Like, why would this be like the opening ceremony to something? Like, it makes no sense, right?
I've actually seen video, and again, when it started to go viral from the front yard of CERN, apparently somebody was in one of the buildings filming it through a window, and you can see Shiva, the goddess, in the front with the statue that's there. There were a bunch of people that came out in black hoods, and there was a younger female, not underage, but definitely probably barely 20 years old, and she was stripped of the hood and laid down, and then they simulated that they were stabbing her like some kind of ritual sacrifice, and then
Yeah.
the all you see is the camera, the person starts to run. So I don't know if they were discovered or what, but I know when this started to go just slightly viral, the excuse was that this was fake. This was all fake. This was all put on. Well, we all know that the security at that place. They're not just going to be allowing people to pull a prank in the front yard at nighttime in the middle of the night at CERN. There's security there. They would have been stopped. So there was something going on there.
Yeah, this is just showing there. This is parts of the CERN ceremony where they have people. Oh no, this is the Goddard Tunnel again. Yeah,
Where's
this
the
is.
Goddard Tunnel?
I believe it's in Switzerland.
Same thing. Okay. Yeah, because just in case I'm going to read a few of his comments while you're showing that, he's talking about the jinn because he thought that he had an attachment, he said, that behaved like a poltergeist for about 5 years. He said, I read a lot about jinns when I lived in the Middle East in the 80s, especially in the Baha'i library in Haifa, Israel. There are many forms. True. And then he said one of the texts I read had the line, "I'll always remember, all angels are extraterrestrials, but not all extraterrestrials are angels." Interesting. Then he's going back to about the gin. Then I'll read your last comment. The paranormal activity we had gone through, I had this fantastic doctor that was actually here permanently from Pakistan, and I got to know her quite well. And I actually mentioned some of the stuff we've been going through. And the first thing she said is, "Why did you not tell me sooner?" And I said, "Because I was afraid you would want to sign commitment papers for me. You know, most people, it's not like something you can just go out and waiting in the grocery line or waiting wherever to pay for something and have a chit chat about the paranormal." And then she explained to me about jinn and that they apparently had a evil jinn. She goes, "You might call it a genie over here in North America." But she said there's a lot more to them. And she said exactly what you did, Justin, that there are good ones. Maybe she said that you might liken to what you in North America may or in Europe may call an angel. And then there's really evil ones, like to what you might call a demon, she said. And she said, we had a really negative one. She goes, I can remember as a child, like everything flying around the living room. She said there were pillows and all kinds of stuff. And I think they had to, she had recommended a recording of prayers, I guess, from the Quran, I think it is. Am I right about that? The Quran? Um, that were recited and recorded. And they had to have somebody from the mosque come over and help clear it out, apparently. So also, I was just going to add, just in case, says CERN has a single large hadron collider. There are several particle accelerators of various types around the world. I'll add that because I know I've heard that before from numerous guests that are aware of that.
Oh yeah.
So,
So, anyways, there, Lord, this is the CERN. This is the Gothard Tunnel. This was the ceremony there with CERN. This is
mhm,
they have this Baphomet god that comes out.
mhm,
People falling down and dying down into the hell. This is what
mhm.
all this stuff is.
Well, Baphomet is a demon.
Yeah. Well, this is if the people are watching on YouTube there, and where usually my face is. This is part of the ceremony here, and people are sort of asking like, why is this happening? Like, does it
This
make
is
no
for the opening of a tunnel.
at CERN? Yeah, the Gothard Tunnel. Yeah.
No, but it gets worse. There's people, if I remember correctly, all loaded. It almost reminded me of something that you would have seen from World War II over in Nazi Germany. The people all loaded onto trains. There's all kinds of things in here. There's naked men and women. There's, like you said, it goes on for well over 3 hours, and it's very there. So many people that have seen this have said, "W- basically, WTF? Like, what did I just watch?" But then again, now I can't see who's in the audience, not that I know who everybody is, but apparently, if you can see the audience, there's quite a few surprising individuals that are known very well in the world. But once you start to go down this road and connect the dots, you start to realize why they're there. If you really believe what the meaning is behind the opening of this tunnel. And I used to hear this all the time. I found it frustrating. Now I know it's 100% true. And again, pretty well verifies things for myself is following the money. It's always the same names, same players, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's the sort of the thing is that a lot of symbolism is used in ceremonies and stuff like that. Then when you have something like this at CERN at the Gotthard Tunnel there, I believe this is the Switzerland part of it. I'm not sure exactly where exactly Gotthard Tunnel is, but it is connected with CERN anyways. And you see these royalty people walking around with these certain wooden staffs. You have this goat entity that's walking around. You got people in red. You got these like little beasts and nymphs and whatever these things are supposed to be. It's really odd, and that's why I guess a lot of people would go, "Why is this happening? And why are you doing this here?"
Well, when you mention about the symbols and the symbology and all this stuff, if people may think that that's just a bunch of hogwash or whatever, think about it. When you perform Reiki, and I do Reiki, so what that is, I always tell people it's not me. I'm just kind of like the mailman, which means that I'm channeling the light and love and energetic healing from I believe in God, so I would call it God, source energy, whatever you call it, right?
Yeah,
But to also help, if you want to say hold that energy or help it work better, we use you want to call them sigils, if you will, symbols, but there are certain um symbols. I'm going to call them symbols that we draw when we're doing Reiki to help with the whole treatment. So if that works, why would it not work for something else like magic or something negative, right?
yeah,
Mhm,
yeah, exactly. But that's the interesting thing about, I guess, with these things here and with these ceremonies that are being done at these highly publicized places, and that is that they're not like a normal ceremony, and
mhm,
that's the whole thing. And if you think about with some of these people that have worked at CERN, that have left there, that have
mhm,
come forward, and you have to sort of weigh these sort of these interviews afterwards, that they have talked about stuff that's going on, and that the real reason for what CERN is to open a portal. Now, it's been reported that they got the God particle or whatever when they
yeah,
hit something there, that they had this uh, uh, event happen, that they think they'd found the God particle. But a lot of these physicists and scientists that have left there have talked about is that the real reason that CERN is in being used is that they want to open a dimension to get to information and knowledge that we can't have here on Earth, to get something else. And this is what comes down to, this whole quest to have power and information. Knowledge is power in that.
mhm,
And so this is, a lot of them have said, now whether this has all been a disinformation campaign to hide the real reason it's out there, because that's a
mhm.
classic case that you know about MUFON and CIA involvement in there, and spreading disinformation and stuff like that. But but even with this here, is that a lot of people that have left there have said that there's an ulterior motive to what they are doing here,
Mhm,
and that would lead question to a lot of other things when they're talking about when possible things of Mandela effects that have been happening, that people have reported that somebody has been messing with the our understanding of the timeline. And even in that ceremony, if you saw what was going on there, people were watching, is that they had a big, huge clock up there, and explosions were going off, and the time was going forwards and backwards, and forwards and backwards, and all over the place there.
mhm.
This is all, is this symbolism saying, hey, this is what we're doing? See, this is the whole thing, right? The biggest way to to hide what you're doing is to tell people the truth,
Yep,
and then people won't believe you, right? It's like
yep,
what's the biggest lie the devil ever told, was to prove people that he didn't exist, right? Or something like that, or to make people believe he didn't exist.
mhm.
So you tell people the truth, and people will automatically not believe what you're saying.
Well,
So
especially when you start getting this strange and this odd.
that
That
shoot,
that's the part about that people don't believe. Like when I was where I was going with this canal earlier there, and I've seen many pictures like this because a lot of people that I've met do not believe that there's entire underground cities under the earth here, and there's pictures, there's roads, there's a super train you and I've talked about. Let's probably do that on another show, but they're talking about children being rescued from underneath from human trafficking and things like this. And I have seen pictures. I've cried, and I don't cry easily. And it looks worse than when you see those cages full of puppies from puppy mills. And that's what was included in this one video about apparently what's in the shipping containers in this ship and why this ship crashed. What the real reason was. Again, I can't prove it. It's just a theory out there, okay? But I was reading the comments, the amount of people that couldn't even entertain the thought of this, that this has to be made up. There's no way. There would never be somebody that evil. There would never be somebody that would do that. This is the problem with the public, even whether it has to do with UFOs, with aliens, with anything like this. People believe that it's just so far beyond what their their version
Oh,
of reality is, they can't even entertain it, right?
oh, for sure. Yeah, that's the thing there. Until it's happened to them, they'll believe that it's non-existent, that it can't happen, and that's that whole understanding your reality and stuff like
Mhm.
that, and out there. And me and you've talked about this before a lot of times. Is that people only want to exist in the bubble that they live in. They don't look outwards to see that other influences and effects could be happening, and there's a bigger world out there than their 9 to 5 and their family home life and their group of friends. There's more things going on than you could possibly understand, and a lot of cultures out there. Like that's why I talked about the Chinese Communist government there tonight. That there's a lot of other things that are in play that are going on, and people are not aware that these things are happening. When you wonder why that your gas prices are up higher, that the cost of food is somewhere a little bit higher. A lot of people didn't even know that the Suez Canal is shut down,
I
and
know.
30% of the world's imports and exports are stagnated right now because
Mhm.
of one ship.
Because of one chip, yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. I think we'll be the last to know for anybody to tell us even what's going on there. And what happens is people need to have an answer. They need to put something out there, especially if there's somebody that's a, say, an activist or something. I'm not saying everybody's not telling the truth, but there's so many different stories. You just don't know what the truth is. But there is, like, I think that you hit the nail on the head. There is a lot of evil in this world. There's a lot of good, but there is a lot of hidden evil that's made to look like it's there for the people. It's there to, help us, to guide us. Like, and I'm speaking from our perspective, say, for example, in Canada, that the government is your friend, the government is there to look after you like a parent. And no, they're not. They're there to serve the people. We supposedly, and that's in any country that's, I think, is, a democracy, if you will, that we're supposed to be we, the people, electing our individuals. How many people have you met? I know I've met a lot, and I don't get into this drama about stuff like that, what happened with the election, but that had no clue. They still don't to this day believe that there was any interference whatsoever, or that it was hidden by the mainstream media, if you will, about a certain son of who is the leader of the free world right now, about a laptop. I can tell you folks, I have seen the video from that laptop. I have seen a lot that went on with that and what was put out there. And, then you'll hear people after the fact say, well, if I'd only known. It's always been out there. You just have to look a little further than beyond your nose, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, and that's the why I do my show, is to give out information and to have people think about things like that, and share stuff that's out there, and whether or not you believe it or not and stuff like that, that's one thing there, but at least you become aware that there's other things out there, and just look at things a little bit differently than your own backyard.
That's true. And like I said, there's a lot to know, and a lot of people aren't ready for it when we get back very quickly. We've only got about 5 minutes left. I want to give a shout out to Katie. I'm not quite sure what they put in here. She just joined, she or he just joined us. I believe it's she. Um, it says, I believe DUMBS. I guess
Yeah.
dumb. Hmm?
Yep, those are military bases,
Thank
underground
you.
military bases. Yeah.
Thank you. I wasn't sure what you meant by that. Um, just in case said they did get the ship free today and the canal has been reopened for traffic still. It's amazing that one ship could block 12% of the world trade, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I hadn't seen that they were freed, but you're over in Denmark, so maybe you got the news before us. Did you see that too, Del? Because I didn't see it in my research today, but I wasn't
No,
specifically looking.
no, the latest news that I see on here that I've looked at
Mhm.
that's being popping up there was that they were still in the process
Yeah, emptying it.
of moving the ship. Now, whether that's happened since the last update on here, I
Hmm.
don't know. But they said it wasn't going to be a long period of time, but there
Hmm.
was going to be problems there, and that was the whole thing about the ship was whether they'd have to unload it, whether they could dredge it in time, worrying about water currents and stuff like that, and if it would cause more of a problem. But in essence, anyways, that one like I said, one little ship has stopped basically 30% of import exports globally.
Hmm. So, but so like the one thing, and I don't know when or if it's ever going to happen, because I'd like to think that the human race is ready for this, but I don't know if they are, or if they'd even believe it. But to expose what's really going on, like, do they exist? Are they here? Are they visiting us? We know they are. Um, but I think what's going to happen, there'll be people that are just going to say, "Yeah, I've known all along." There's going to be other people that are not going to believe it, because I still have met so many people like that or seen them that just refuse to believe any of this whatsoever. And that's the scary part is I meet a lot of people that feel so frustrated that are, like trying to cram it down people's throats. And if you're not ready for it, all you're going to do is make an enemy. It's kind of the same thing, and I'm not picking on religion here, but there's some people that are uber ultra religious, and whatever their religion is, and they believe in it so strongly, and for whatever reason, they feel the rest of the world should hear it and cram it down other people's throats. You can't force anybody to change their mind. They have to be ready to change their mind for whatever reason it may be, right?
Yep, but you're seeing the opposite effect there happening with governments. They're dealing with these small percentage groups that are out there trying to change laws. Like I just said, they're even with changing the national anthem, changing a line because they didn't like that it was
Mhm,
a male gendered word in their sons
mhm,
that they felt excluded. Like that's unbelievably retarded. That's the only thing that I can say that this would actually be thought of that this was an actual issue
mhm.
and people went along with this and they caused a change in it, and that just shows you how twisted our social society has become, that there's problems in wording, and we've seen this with censorship, with people giving their opinions on stuff. If they don't like your opinion, they destroy you, they shut you down, they try to
Mhm.
destroy you, wipe you out financially, just to shut you up. Period. Right. And whatever tactics they use, it's unbelievable, and it's crazy to believe that people do not want to discuss things anymore and have a debate. It's either this is the way it is, and if we don't like it, we destroy.
That's right. And on that note, Zach Man says, because we are out of time, guys, I'm just going to read the last few minutes. Justin Case says he just got the news hours ago about the ship. So we'll have to check that out. Thank you, Justin. Zach Man says, I'm going to call it a night, folks. Love the show tonight, as always. Have a good night, Lauren Dell. Love and light to you both. And right back at you and Jamie, Zach Man. Justin Case says that Katie, gosh, I thought you meant DUMBS, DUMBS, like not too clever folks. That's what I was wondering at first too, Justin. So don't feel bad. But realize you mean deep underground military bunkers. They do exist. We have one where he lives. Interesting. We'll have to talk more about this again next week, maybe, or depending on what kind of shows we're doing. I want to thank you all for being here. I want to send my love out to my PAC and bestie, Saraphine Hurley. She was, like I said, just the last minute she wasn't able to be here. If you want to get a hold of me, you can find me on facebook.com/ the Angel Rock. I have two groups. Also, I have Paranormal University for all things paranormal, and the Angel Rocker Tribe for all things esoteric, spirituality, energy wise on Facebook. I also have the Angel Rock, my own show on Monday nights here live on UPRN from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central. And I'm trying to remember who I have as guest. Oh, I have a writer from Australia coming on next week. Also, want to remind you very quickly, and I'm going to give Dell time to tell you as well. If you guys ever have a question for spirit, or maybe you're trying to understand things like chakras, or what is crystal Reiki, or maybe you think you've seen an angel or something really interesting out there, please don't hesitate to get a hold of me. You can private message me on any of my social media accounts, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, or you can email me at theangelrock1508@gmail.com. Please just put in the title, questions for the Angel Rock. And Dell, take it away.
Yes, you can find me here Tuesday nights, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, before the Tripping the Void there, the delicious recipe with me, the Dell. And we talk about topics of conspiracy, mystery, and world issues. And also, I'd started up there is the delicious stories at gmail.com. So I'm looking for you to send me true stories of weird events, mysterious happenings, camping trips where you met Bigfoot or cryptid or little person, anything like that, or just even weird things that happen in your house, and to share the stories. And I'll share them privately. I'll hold your names there back unless you want to be mentioned or something like that. But we'll just share these stories out there, and we'll see that if other people are having similar experiences as well. Make the globe a little smaller.
Exactly. So I want to thank you guys all for being here. We had a great discussion. Really appreciate all your input tonight, guys. Sending you all so much love and light. Have a beautiful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you may be. And we will see you here on Friday, I believe, with Joe Montaldo at 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. with the Centralist, the Dell and I, usually Michael Angley and Joe Montaldo, and whoever else, one of the hosts joins us. So we'll see you then. Have a good one.
Do, 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 do.
Dell fell s or Dell yeah, you can tell I'm, getting tired. Joe fell asleep. Joe, where
Yeah.
are you, Joe? We're still live.
Just wait for that little do do do.
Broadcast has ended. Where are you, Joe? I might have to text him. We'll give him a minute.
Hmm.
Oh, happy Easter to everybody too while we're still live. If you celebrate, happy Easter to you. Just in case, also added while we're live. Thanks for the inspiring show. Don't shoot any aliens. It's okay being gray. Subscribed and hammered the like button. So I'll see you again. Keep safe, all of you. Blessings. And right back at you, Justin. Thank you.
Yeah, that's true. And that's the thing there too is that with a lot of these things there with what I'm looking for these stories about finding these weird and strange things. You don't have to shoot them with a gun or capture them stuff like that. You can capture them with a camera. That's that's the best way and stuff like that. And that's the whole thing about the stories that I'm looking for is that if you can share where you saw it, where the things happen and stuff like that, it adds more to the story as well, and it helps other people that might have these sort of similar events happen.
Exactly. And like I said, for myself too, what I'm talking about is anything like really paranormal. Like maybe you don't know how to deal with it. For example, somebody sent me a picture from here locally. Their neighbor was smelling a burning smell and was, examining all around their apartment, trying to figure out what was going on, and opened their fridge and noticed that the carton of eggs was on fire. They have actual pictures of the eggs all burnt into the bottom of the fridge. And I wasn't even considering paranormal. I was thinking this was something conspiracy, like there was something crazy with these eggs. And then as the story unfolded, there was a lot more paranormal going on. So they had a lot of questions. They wanted to share their story about what had happened. So those, those are the kind of things I'm looking for. So Dell and I are looking for different things. We weren't copying each other. Dell decided to do this, and this was actually suggested to me by a previous guest to do some readings with spirit, to answer some questions, being a spiritual teacher and mentor, and things like that.
I think Katie's back.
Is Joe back finally? We're just waiting for you, Joe. We're just chatting.
I see the background changing.
Yes.
You waiting on me? Little old me? What you waiting on me
We're
for?
still
It's like
live.